Hello. Most people believe that eating disorders only affect adolescents and young women. However, that's not actually the case. The truth is, midlife eating disorders are on the rise. In fact, treatment centers around the country are reporting a rise in the number of women and men over 35 who are presenting for treatment for eating disorders. Considering the fact that only a fraction, yes, a fraction of people with eating disorders seek treatment, it's likely that there are even more people suffering than we're aware of. So what are some of the common signs of a midlife eating disorder? Signs that can tell you if you or someone you love is facing such a struggle? Well, perhaps you or your loved one has a long history with dieting, only eating foods thought to be clean, and it's become obsessive, as is a compulsion to exercise. And even though it's not always the case, a dramatic change in weight is another sign of a disordered relationship with food. And social isolation is very common as well. And what are some of the triggers? Well, while just about any major stressor could trigger an underlying eating disorder or any form of a dysfunctional relationship to food, there are a few main ones that seem to be pretty common. So here are a few triggers to watch out for. Divorce or loss of a loved one is one of the most common triggers of eating disorders among midlife women. The stress and anxiety that these life-changing events bring to bear calls for coping and self-soothing. And for many, this shows up in a relationship with food that develops in an effort to numb oneself, to check out, to avoid feelings that are just so painful. Self-soothing quickly becomes self-destructive. There's increased stress brought on by caring for aging loved ones. This stress can result in a situation as I described above. The isolation and energy expenditure of being a caregiver takes its toll. Making empowered food choices and engaging in healthy lifestyle habits often gets put on the back burner. And then there's menopause. Both hormonal change and the stress and anxiety brought about by transition into a new life stage may affect women in midlife negatively. Some women have struggled with disordered eating behaviors their entire lives, or struggled with an eating challenge in their early life that seemed to resolve, only to recur as they go through menopause. For others, though, an eating disorder develops for the first time in midlife in response to the changes that are functions of the hormonal flux and structural changes that instigate change in emotional health. There's the empty nest. If you've raised children, you know they become and remain a huge part of your life. And many of us are not prepared for the changes that occur after our last child leaves the family home and embarks on a life of their own. There are both logistical and emotional factors associated with such changes in family structure that can be triggers for disordered eating. Children leaving home, along with issues reorienting to being a couple, can lead to feelings of low mood, maybe depression, which themselves can influence eating behavior. It's very common among midlife women and men, as it is a major change that impacts their whole life. And then there's heightened body satisfaction, resulting from the aging process when body composition shifts, wrinkles appear, hair grays, and this can leave some feeling pretty self-conscious and even less desirable. Research has shown a close correlation between poor body image and eating disorders. And while there are a variety of factors that can impact the progression of an eating disorder, negative perceptions by a person regarding their body, such as the thought that they are fat, or if they are dissatisfied with a particular part of their body, can lead to disordered eating behaviors such as severe restricting and maybe even binging and purging. A recent study published in the Journal of Women and Aging investigated body image satisfaction in middle-aged women over 50. Using a sample of almost 1,800 American women, researchers found that just over 12% of the participants reported they were satisfied with their current body. Aspects of their physical appearance that these women reported feeling unhappy about included their skin, that was 80% of women, their stomachs, that was 56% of women, and their faces, 54% of women. Researchers also found that participants who had undergone cosmetic surgery were no more or less satisfied with their body image compared to those women who did not have surgery. And other common triggers could be the stress associated with finances and perhaps retirement, as well as that retirement contributing to a loss of identity and validation. When change occurs in your life, whether it be by choice or life happenstance, it can be hard to manage the stress with resilience. And in many midlife women, this results in triggering an underlying predisposition to an eating disorder. So here's my brief takeaway. The supposed golden years can be challenging, and some challenges are overwhelming. In short, midlife eating disorders and disordered eating behaviors are not uncommon and can be triggered by any number of stressors. And I'm here to remind you, to inspire you, that aging need not be a state of disease, and there need not be anything anti about it. However, if you feel you are challenged by an uncomfortable relationship with food and your body, you need not face the struggle alone. Seek professional help from an experienced practitioner that understands and is willing to see you and your needs, both physical and emotional. There are solutions. Reframing your relationship to your story allows for a renewed relationship to self. I'm Mindy Gorman-Plutzer, and that's the Freedom Promise.